Hey everybody, it's been a while, but so I moved to a new apartment out of the old house. I kind of like the apartment better than the house. I've just been really tired since the move. Like it's an upstairs apartment, so yeah, I got really fucking tired. I'm still tired. Whatever. I think this is where we left off. Chapter 38, Peace in Our Time. Well, let's check it out.
My abused body was through.
Nope.
My nerves
Hold
didn't
on.
even have the will to
Shit.
scream at me anymore. My muscles ached dully, my insides hurt, and my pip leg itched. I could feel the mud slowly squishing in between my armor and coat, seeping through the hole the Ultra Sentinel had burned in my chest. I didn't care. My friends needed me. Velvet Remedy was unconscious. Oh, please, let her just be unconscious.
Nah, she did.
I had tried to save her from drowning, but she'd gone under more than once, and now she was just laying there, unmoving. A few yards away, the Sky Bandit was half sunk in the lake, the front end thrust upwards over the muddy shore.
Did you lose your goddamn ride? Really?
I heard a grunt from the air to my left where Calamity hung from the Sky Bandit's harness. Ugh. Ugh. Calamity's legs kicked circles in the air. Oh, pony feathers. My attention was focused on Velvet Remedy. I was desperate to get closer to her, to see if she was all right, but my body ignored me.
You know, one of the reasons why I keep getting lost about where we are in this story, it's because the last, let me count, one, two, three, four, five, six goddamn videos have been chapter 37. Like, some of these are an hour long, okay? Like, an hour long. Jesus Christ. That's why I keep getting fucking lost.
I tried to pull her close, but my magic flickered over her limp form and died. Too much strain. She wasn't breathing. I could see no lift and fall from her body. Oh, goddesses. Velvet Remedy wasn't breathing. Calamity! I shouted hoarsely, terror surging through me. Velvet's not breathing. You have to help her. I'm trying, girl, Calamity shouted back, suddenly thrashing in his harness. I can't get down. His wings flapped and his hooves kicked. My mind was exploding in panic. Every second she was dying, and I still couldn't get to her, couldn't even crawl. My horn flared with the surge of adrenaline. There wasn't quite enough in me to wrap around Velvet, but that flush of power was enough to pull apart the clasps of Calamity's harness, dropping the rust-colored Pegasus into the mud. He scrambled to Velvet's side and began pumping his hooves against her breasts, pausing only to breathe for her. Behind him, a groan rose up as the Sky Bandit slipped further into the lake. With a start, I realized that Steelhose was still in the back of the passenger wagon, paralyzed and dead in his armor, unable to move as he sunk further into the water. I knew he couldn't drown.
Okay, yeah, I forgot. Still, though, that's not going to be very pleasant for him. You should probably get him out of there. And your ride with it.
But the thought of being trapped in a watery grave had to be horrifying. My mind immediately conjured up memories of my nightmarish imprisonment in the healing booth. Calamity continued fervently, trying to bring life back to Velvet Remedy. Tones of gray bled into my vision. My whole self cried out for rest, begging me to just let go, just go and sleep. But I fought the cool embrace of darkness, the little pony in my head kicking and screaming, telling me that if I let it overtake me, I would never wake up again. If I lost consciousness now, I could slip into a coma. And somehow, I knew it wouldn't be a peaceful sleep. All the nightmares of the healing booth awaited me down there. I heard a choked, sputtering cough from Velvet Remedy. My panic lifted, my heart crying out. Thank the goddesses. The grip of panic eased around my heart and mind, and blackness rushed in like a surging ocean. I thought I heard Calamity fire his battle saddle.
Now, all I could think about this moment where Lil Pip's all so happy that Velvet's okay is like, still, Steel Hooves is still slipping down there. Like, every second that passes, it's going to be a lot harder to get him out.
And yell something, but he sounded so far away. Then, nothing. Visions of my life in Stable 2 passed before my eyes. Boring, dull, safe, gray. Devoid of any real life, empty of friends or of purpose. A job where I was helping no pony. Out of a sense of responsibility and hope, I braved the possible nothingness beyond the stable door, leaving that peace behind. I traded all of it for pain and horror as I searched for her. I remembered my first day, and how the daylight seemed so strange to me, beautiful yet odd and unhealthy, strained by the curtain of clouds above us. I saw how stupid and foolish I had been, plunging headlong into places like iron-shod firearms in Stable 24, repeatedly risking my life, and later those of my friends, all because I was driven by curiosity and a need for answers. At this point, I was lucky to still be alive. My friends swam before me. My fearless first friend, Calamity, always by my side, always ready to catch me when I fell. I owed him my life, over and over. Velvet Remedy, the real mare, not the one of my foolish fantasies. The one with the caring heart who tended to me while I was sick, and who took my burden when the return home was too much for me to bear. Steelhooves, met in battle with a flurry of explosions. I had seen him conquer his own demons to fight alongside Zenith, and to finally step up and lead a new force for the good of Equestria. And Zenith herself, pulled from Red Eye's hell of industry and slavery, a tortured mare, a survivor who became our guide in Old Olney, one of the most grim and deadly places the wasteland had to offer. My mind was filled with voices. The voice of DJ Pony, broadcasting out of Manhattan, bringing messages of warning and hope, and making us out to be heroes. I remembered that first real voice from the past, that message from Scootaloo, a hello from one of the ponies who had shaped the world and watched it fall. From them, I learned of virtues, of sacrifice, and of failure. Even though they were gone, they had become my family almost as much as my living friends. I was no longer alone.
Wow. Half of your family is just voices you've never met then.
I recalled moments of joy, times I had almost forgotten. Breakfast with God at Junction R7, my water fight with Homage in the pouring rain. My head filled with shadows. The horribly damaged Pinky Bell with her balefire bomb she was saving for fireworks. The accidental shot, blam, on Buckland Bridge. I dreamt that I was drowning in blood, a crimson river from all those whom I had slain. The memory of Arbu transformed that terror into reality.
Arbu was cool.
Of all
Shut
the
up.
things I had struggled against, raiders and slavers, zombie zebras, and even a dragon, the greatest threat had always been from myself. The darkness and rage that hid within me, addiction and failure. My soul was weary. I needed rest. Hadn't I been through enough?
That's what I've been saying. I want more than one filler chapter. I like Slice of Life. Slice of Life's fun. And in a situation like this, like 2 or even just 3 Slice of Life chapters would be kind of fun to see.
I had tried to do good. I had tried to help. I had pushed myself through torture and horror. Death awaited me, and I could hear the sweet cajoling song of the Grim Reaper pony, offering me a final respite. I wanted to go to her, let her wrap me in her cloak of blackness and unending sleep. But even here, the little pony in my head fought with me, reminding me that there was still too much to do before I could allow myself peace. There were still ponies who needed me. Red Eye still threatened Tempony Tower and my beloved Homage. There was still a goddess out there, bent on the extinction of pony kind through unity. As long as you're willing to face the fire. Well, fuck. My little pony was right. As much as I yearned otherwise, I had to return, to regain consciousness. I moaned, rolling onto my side. My body was covered in a sickly sweat. Unpleasant warmth rushed through me, and my head and stomach churned with nausea. I itched from dried mud. I was laying on a filthy cot in a ramshackle wooden structure that stank of damp wood and rot. I tried to push myself up, my legs trembling weakly before giving out. The effort caused my gut to rebel, and I found the strength to roll over and vomit. Mercifully, there was an old mop bucket next to the bed, seeming to exist just for the purpose of being filled with my sickness. My throat burned, the inside of my mouth turning horrid. The stench of my vomit made my eyes water, and drove my stomach to churn and release even more. I collapsed back, tears in my eyes. This had happened before. Illness brought on by physical overexertion, mental turmoil, and the nastiness of the wasteland. We needed to go, do things. I didn't have time to be bedridden again for days. Ch38 had been physiologically brutal. The pink cloud on the broadcasters putting my brain and insides through a grinder.
Kinda do need a rest, little Pip. I mean, you keep up at this rate, you're gonna just break yourself.
The loss of a rib was traumatic and terrifying. The scar there, like the one on my neck, would never quite fully heal. My pit bucket fused to my coat and flesh. Was it any surprise that my health was falling apart now? The memory orbs had been emotionally gut-wrenching. Part of me screamed to gallop back to the Ministry of Peace and give Rarity a proper burial. But even before we had left the Ministry of Awesome, the fires in Cloud had made that impossible. The heart-rending blow of watching Applejack step out of that elevator, and realizing that Applesnack had intended to propose to her that very night, and she was anticipating it. Goddesses. I fought to get up, only to fail again. I couldn't be this weak. My sickness could be costing lives. Goddesses, where was I? My eyes moved slowly over the filth. A few empty bottles, rubbish, a doorway without a door, and the stained sheet that covered it. Not Steel's shack. Now, let's get you set up just like that. I heard Calamity's voice drift in from the next room, followed by a loud thump of metal against splintering wood. I felt the urge to call out for him. The guy was fine enough to let me rent this here set of magically powered armor long enough for us to reboot you. Should have you mobile in no time. Are you sure you know what you're doing, Calamity? Steel's voice followed his. Maybe you should wait for little Pip. What, and leave y'all stuck like this? Xanath's voice chimed in. Is it wrong that I want to stick him in poses? Even feeling as wretched as I did, I had to bury my muzzle into the mattress to stifle a snicker. It felt better knowing that 3 of my friends were just on the other side of that filthy curtain. Try it, and I'll hurt you, Steel's warned, grumbling. Calamity, hurry up already. So which end do I plug this into again? Calamity asked, feigning confusion. The levity in his voice betrayed him. Just hurry up, before the zebra gets any other ideas. Thank you, Steelhooves, Xanath said quietly, for helping my daughter's village. I know it must be hard for an old soldier to help zebrakin. I mentally grasped at that through the swimming in my head. We were in Glyphmark. Through the doorway, I realized the next room had fallen still. Applejack was afraid of zebras, Steelhooves finally said.
Really? That's weird.
It took her little sister to show her that they were people just like ponies. Good folks, most of them.
I listened, surprised, as Applesnack opened up to Zenith.
She never forgot that. Not even in the blackest hours of the war. Not even when her closest zebra friend betrayed her.
His voice seemed to freeze. Steelhooves' low, rumbling voice dropped impossibly lower.
Or so we believed.
Again, the room beyond mine filled with a pregnant quiet.
Applejack would have wanted her rangers to protect all good people, not just ponies.
I loved Steelhooves a little more at that moment. After a second or two, Calamity spoke up, changing the topic. So how are they? Neither has woken yet. Zenith's voice turned solemn. Neither. Velvet Remedy was still unconscious? I once again felt a twinge of panic. How long had it been since Canterlot? Although Little Pip still moans and mutters fevered things in her sleep.
Little Pip is awake,
Steelhooves announced.
she's probably eavesdropping.
I also hated Steelhooves just a little bit right then. Go ahead and put him in silly poses, Zenith. I was shivering when Zenith came in. Somehow, my body had gone from overly hot to unpleasantly cold. So the metal ghoul was right, Zenith intoned casually. You are awake. What about Velvet? She still slumbers, Zenith informed me. I've given her what salves and remedies I know, but only she can find her way back as you have done. She will, I assured her. Velvet Remedy's stronger than she looks. Yes, and so are you, Little Pip, the zebra said as she placed a hoof on my forehead, just below my horn. I groaned. Well, that's pretty easy when you look pathetic. Zenith smirked ever so slightly. We need to go, I started to say, trying a third time to stand. I forced my forehoofs under me, lifting myself just enough to reach the mop bucket as another wave of nausea swept over me.
Like Jesus.
Zenith watched as I vomited. You are sick, she said grimly, and quite unnecessarily. You need to rest. I will not allow us to go until you are well enough for the journey. Another day at least, maybe 2. How long? I asked, spitting into the bucket of sick, trying to clear the acidic foulness from my tongue and teeth. Less than a day, Zenith told me. Calamity's been negotiating with your trader friend to get the things you need, and he's been putting armor on our flying vessel. If there's one thing Glyphmark is not poor in, it is scraps. I had wondered when he was going to get around to doing that. Nodding, I tried to reason with Zenith. One night, but then we have to go. I'll prop myself up with crutches if I have to. No, Zenith said flatly. I decide when we go, and I say, not until you are at least able to walk on your own and hold food. Only then will I consider it. Assuming that the medical pony hasn't awoken by then and had you chained down until you're fully healthy. Assuming that the medical pony hasn't woken up by then and had you chained down until you're fully healthy. I moaned, slipping back onto my bed. We couldn't wait for that long. Especially if Velvet Remedy did decide to chain me down until I got better. Something Velvet was more than capable of, I realized. Zenith might not know that, but then the zebra wasn't there when Velvet shot me. I can recover on the ride to Splendid Valley, I told her, recalling having said something similar to Velvet Remedy after Arbu. But the mere thought of riding in the Sky Bandit made my head whimper and my stomach twist unpleasantly.
Jeez.
Okay. Once I can hold down some food. I wasn't going to subject the others to a ride in the passenger wagon with me while I spent the whole trip with my head in a bucket.
Yeah, that's not good.
My mind wandered for a moment, trying to retrace the days. How long ago had Velvet Remedy shot me with a poison dart gun? How long since I had left Stable 2? My whole life was condensed into, 8 weeks?
It's been
Over a
that
month and a
short?
half, and not quite 2 months. The equally miserable little pony in my head pointed out that between now and Steelhooves' shack, I'd used up all of my sick days, and soon the master pip-buck technician would have to start docking my allowance. I found myself giggling. Laughter, Zenith mused. A sure sign of regaining health, or slipping into insanity.
Sandy would actually be kind of
That
cool.
just made me giggle harder for no good reason. Xanatha got up, taking the mop bucket's handle in her teeth. The stench from it had begun to permeate the room. I felt simultaneously thankful to her and embarrassed at my disgusting frailty. I was sorry to be the reason she had to do something so unpleasant. My mind caught on something as she trotted towards the filthy curtain. Xanath, how's your daughter? And have you told her about it yet? The zebra stopped. She set down the bucket of vomit and turned to me. Zephyr is doing well. She is the doctor for these townsfolk, and she plies her craft well. She is very thankful for what we have done down here. Xanath sat down, staring off into the air. She and the others of her village have released me from my responsibility, so I am free to go. She looked at me sternly. As to your second question, no, and I wish that you would not tell her. I nodded. But shouldn't she know? And, Xanath, you deserve to be reunited with her. Xanath smiled sadly. She is her own mare now, not the little girl I knew. I would rather she keep that strength than submit to being my child again. She looked away. And to be truthful, I cannot be responsible for her. I do not know how. Plus, you need me. Far more than she does. With that, Xanath stood back up, taking the mop bucket once again, and walked out, the curtain waving in her passing. I laid there for some time, unsure of how to feel. Part of me was happy that Xanath would be with us again. Another part of me, the part which deeply wished for a happy ending for my friends, was softly crying. I wasn't even sure why. My own mother, as much as I loved her from a distance, was not as important to me as my friends, and I would not wish to sacrifice my time with them, or the good I was trying to do, for a reunion with her. So why did my heart desire for Xanath and Zephyr to be together? I shivered again. Part of me wanted to pull down that disgusting curtain and wrap myself in it. But a better part of me shuddered at the thought. And I knew that if I did, I would just become too hot again. Instead, I curled up. A wave of weariness began to pass over me. I needed Xanath. I needed her. We were stronger together. Better. I would need my friends. Soon. As soon as I was well enough to function, we would be enacting my plan, whatever that was, to deal with the goddess. I
Want
moaned
it
as
to
another
just be a
shiver
nuke.
quaked through
I want the plan to just be the nuke that killed the Master in Fallout 1. It would be the greatest thing ever.
my body. Suddenly, I felt nervous. Scared. I was about to risk our lives with a plan I didn't even know. I was trusting myself, which was beginning to feel awfully stupid. They all trusted me, but why should they? I hadn't told them what I was doing, just their specific parts. No one knew what we were doing. This was insane. I've got a plan for dealing with the goddess. I've told every pony their parts, and just their parts. I'm the only pony who knows all of it. And then I took that knowledge from myself, and locked it away in the orb sitting far away in Ten Pony Tower.
This is some Xanatos shit. Don't get me wrong, I love a good Xanatos plan. They're great, but like, damn.
What was I thinking? Literally, what was I thinking? I've told every pony their parts, and just their parts. Every pony. Oh. Because the goddess couldn't read zebra minds. A smile broke across my muzzle. Ooh, I was a clever pony. She did what? Calamity gasped, startling me from the near sleep my aching body had fallen into. Damn it. Little Pip promised me. Oh no. What did I do? I immediately felt awful for whatever I had done to upset Calamity.
calm yourself.
Steelhooves commanded softly.
Everything was fine.
Was Steelhooves mobile yet? It didn't sound like he had moved. The idea that he might still be paralyzed within his armor was horrible. I thought of how he had been trapped helpless under the water, and prayed to Celestia and Luna that he had been pulled out quickly. Fine. I was gone. You were mobile, and little Pip goes poking ahead into a whole heap of mess and memory orbs right in the middle of the Candlelight ruins? Calamity roared. Damn it. I know that Mary ain't got no sense at all sometimes, but I expected her to treat her promise better than that. What did she expect Velvet to do if she was attacked? Or if the cloud got in?
To turn on the shield.
Steelhooves said simply. Calamity stopped mid-rant. Say what now?
We were inside the Ministry of Awesome, within the shielded zone. If anything happened, Velvet Remedy could have just protected us with the throw of a switch.
Steelhooves informed him, adding the jab.
Or don't you trust Rainbow Dash's defenses?
I could hear Calamity let out a defeated sigh. Fine. Okay.
She's not responsible for Velvet Remedy's condition,
Steelhooves added.
In fact, she risked drowning to save her.
I know that, and I'm not mad at her 'cause of... Hell, I'm not mad at her. I'm just mad, Calamity admitted. Feels better than being worried sick. I heard a crack of wood, and dust shifted down from between the ceiling boards as the small building shook from Calamity's kick. I could understand his sentiment. Hell of a time to let every pony down, Calamity. What?
I seem to recall you saved them.
My thoughts echoed Steelhooves' sentiment. Calamity had caught us, and then he saved Velvet when I couldn't. Yeah? Well, it wouldn't have needed so much saving if I'd just flown us out of there. My fault we ended up in the moat. Hell, I don't even remember touching down. Calamity, I called out weakly. Stop. Just... not your fault. That was all the energy I had to shout, and it left...
Okay, I think I'm going to cut it off here. So if I don't know how this is going to sound because I'm not talking as loud as I normally do, I think. But, you know, new apartment, second floor, don't know how thick the walls are, or the floor. But, you know, so that's that. And, finally almost done unpacking. But, yeah, I like the apartment. I didn't bring the webcam, so I can't really show it off to you guys. But, yeah, I like it. Hey, see you guys later. Bye.